going to be, possibly just using the little snapshots of what we do here, but we won't be recording what goes on in the breakout rooms in your discussion. Something to consider is that when you're watching all of this, sometimes seeing everybody's face all at once can feel a little bit overwhelming. If you prefer, up in the top right corner of your screen, you'll see there's the option to change from speaker view. It toggles between speaker view and gallery view. So if you prefer just to see the person who's speaking, that can just soften the energy of what's coming across to you on the screen. So you can have a play with that and see what feels more comfortable. Some people like to see everyone, and that's fine. And when we go into the breakout rooms, Kevin, Liv, Asher and I will be facilitating with you. So we'll be helping out there, and we'll just be talking about a few questions. And does anyone have any questions on the technical side of things? Are we right to go ahead? All good. Thanks, Ash.
Thanks, Lisa. Just to set the scene before we kind of get into some breakout rooms for some discussions we can have in smaller groups. I think as a board, we really wanted to put this little session together. We kind of got the feeling that a lot of people, a lot of meditation teachers, people in the industry were going through very similar things at the moment. And we thought to come together as a group and network and talk about these things and maybe find out what others are doing, how others are feeling, get some I guess, maybe some tips and some ideas, and to be able to share was a really great idea. And a platform like Zoom, which maybe a lot of people are actually running their business through now, including myself, it just made sense as a way of really connecting, especially because we can bring together people from all over Australia. So as well as kind of getting together and sharing and feeling that connectedness, it was an opportunity to talk about things professionally and understand how people are doing things, some of the hurdles they're coming up against, some of the ways through some of the difficult stuff that they've found. All together, we just felt that our collective minds, it would be really useful to come together. And we really felt that it split up into 3 different categories. And the first one was really how we're feeling about all this personally. Trying to run a business, perhaps, trying to homeschool children, trying to do all sorts of things with partners in the house, and a lot of different pressures. It can really have an impact on us. And secondly, I guess, obviously, there was the professional side of things. I've been talking to a lot of people in the business, members of the board and others, and we've had to make some pretty dramatic changes to the way we run our business. A lot of us have seen a downturn in that business, and we're looking for ways to try to keep ourselves afloat and to be able to offer meditation as an integral part of what people do, which leads us very neatly into the third part, which is about community, about society, because in many respects, meditation has never been more needed as a tool. And so getting our work out there and being able to offer that in various ways is perhaps as important as it's ever been. So those are kind of the 3 buckets which we're going to work through. We'll do that together in these smaller groups. What we thought we'd do is break out, discuss one of these 3 topics, and then come back together again for a little get together before moving into the second topic and then the third. So I hope that makes sense to people. I'm really gratified to see this, and we all are, to see this many people come together. There's plenty of things you can be doing on a Sunday afternoon, and here we are. So I think that's fabulous. I was thrilled to see the amount of people. I'm looking at participants now, 38 people coming together for this discussion. It just, A, shows the importance of the discussion, but B, shows just the beauty of this community and how we all come together, and there's a certain spirit that interconnects us all. So thank you so much for giving us your time and spending this time with us. That's about enough from me. I think I'm going to hand over to Liv right now, who's going to set this thing up. Liv's nodding, yes, absolutely. And we'll go forth from there. So thanks again and welcome.
Thanks, Ash. Hello, everybody. My name's Liv. So we are going to move into breakout groups now, and you'll have one of us from the board to help facilitate that discussion. I think there'll be between 6 and 10 people within each group. And so we'll chat for about 15 to 20 minutes. and then we'll come back as a broader group and share key themes. Within each of the breakout rooms, we're going to ask someone to self-nominate to be the spokesperson for across each of the 3 areas. So have a ponder about whether that feels like a role you might like to pop your hand up for. And I think I'll hand over to the gorgeous Lisa now to pop us into the random breakout group. So we'll see where we land, and we'll see you back here as a broader group in about 15 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Liv. So just so everyone knows, the questions that we're going to be discussing are actually in the chat at the moment. So you can preview them there. I'm going to open up the rooms now. You may get an invitation that pops up on your screen asking you to join a breakout room. So if you just like to click yes on that, you'll be taken through to the room. So we'll see you in 15 minutes. Hi, everyone. We can unmute ourselves in here.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm on my iPhone, so I didn't know whether it was going to work. So
Okay, sure.
I think it's okay though, yeah?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to put it on my laptop, but I think this is okay.
Sure.
It's just a matter of holding it, propping it. I need to prop it.
Athalie, that's you, isn't it?
Yes.
Hi,
Julie.
how are you?
Oh, I'm well.
Hi,
How are
Helen.
you?
Hi, Greg, Ian, and Fiona.
Hi.
Who's the galaxy lady? Susie? Lady in red. What's your name? I'll unmute you. Yeah.
Libby.
Hi, Libby. Nice to meet you. Okay, great. All right. So the first question to discuss is, what kind of changes to your work have you noticed since COVID-19, and how has this affected you? Anyone who's ready to go can start.
Can I start?
Yes, please, Anne.
I'm Anne. Well, the majority of my work has been in the aged care sector, so it's not happening. I have none at the moment. So, but it's the right thing. So it'll come back. I had considered doing it online with them, but I also appreciate the fact that often they weren't grouping even within their own facilities. So I decided not to, but have just kept connected with them via email.
So you've kind of been out on a limb in a sense, haven't you?
Yeah, because it's difficult. You want to connect with them, but you also want to not. I don't want to reduce what I normally do, how I do deliver the sessions. So I don't want to. I don't want to take the value that I know that they get from actually being in the group together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tricky, isn't it? Especially with aged care, where you're talking about vulnerable people, so that you really can't take any risks at all.
No, absolutely none. And I know that we've worked through a lot of things with them over the time about hearing problems, and we've managed lots and lots of. I've really developed a program for them that works quite well, but. Yeah, I just don't think on through a computer it's going to actually work for them. They need that one-on-one contact. Because I do deliver sometimes independently or within a group, within a like a theatre room.
Okay. Have any of the staff in the facility been trained, or are they familiar with what you do?
I've had in one facility, there's actually a girl that she does follow it through. So if I'm ever away, she will always take sessions to keep the momentum. So I believe that she's still doing that, and so that's good. So that will still be running unless they decide, well, why bring someone in? But,
Yeah.
there is that fear. There is definitely that fear that a lot of this business is going to be lost within it. And I'd only been doing it for 18 months. And yeah, so it's a bit of a shame.
Makes it tricky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can you provide them or feed them with some stimulus or some material that they could keep using?
No, I've been doing that. They have activity packs, and also I'm on Insight Timers, so they've got access to that.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so that's an option for them.
Mm.
And at the moment, so what I'm doing with my time at the moment is just trying to actually create more programs and do more recording.
Great. That's a great idea. You've got to work with what you've got, don't you?
Exactly. So I'm off recording tomorrow. So and I'm actually decided to try a new thing, and I thought, well, if my aged care sector gets lost with this, I hope not. I really hope not, because I've been amazed at the benefits they've had. That is children. So I'm actually recording some children's meditations tomorrow.
Fantastic. Great. Go where you feel the energy is and you can make a difference. That's terrific.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you, Anne. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, thanks, Lisa.
Someone else like to share?
I'm happy to.
Thanks, Susie.
I'm Susie. Hi. My teaching has been at gyms. Of course, that's all closed. So it's forced me to go online, which has turned out to be not as bad as I had anticipated. But I think I much prefer the personal interaction. And I think the people, even though they're coming to the Zoom sessions, it's just not quite the same.
No.
So I imagine everybody's experiencing the same thing. That personal interaction is just very valuable and can't be beaten.
Yeah.
But it has made me work on my website, which I really had been putting off doing. So I've got no excuses now.
And have the people who would ordinarily attend your sessions, have they been willing to join in online?
Yes, they have. Yes,
Right.
so I've had a good turnout with those. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
it's just being able to contact.
Oh goodness, what have I done? Sorry, something's happened. Susie's been popped into another room. I'm just going to rescue her. These are the joys of technical. Sorry, Susie, that was my fault.
That's all right. I went and visited room 3.
You did. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Okay. Well, it's great that people have come with you. That's something I'm hearing a lot from people, is that by and large there's been a willingness for people to make the shift online in order to maintain that connection with their teacher and still be able to meditate together.
Yes. What I'm finding though about when you want to, so teaching is actually my background. I'm like a high school maths teacher. So the teaching is what I'm really passionate about. Having to go online, and there's a lot more than just teaching. You have to, especially trying to do a website, suddenly there's all of that side of it. And I've discovered that what you actually put on a web page is about 5% of the work that goes into a website.
Yeah.
And then the marketing side, to actually try and reach people, is, again, not my area, and not something I really want to be doing. I'm not passionate about that side. So that's where I'm struggling, really.
This is the challenge of small business, isn't it? To be a jack of all trades.
Absolutely. I'm really discovering that now.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, because actually at Meditation Australia, I've just created a video that Meditation Australia are going to be selling on their website just for a very low cost, with some marketing information specifically tailored for meditation teachers. And that first video is going to be about brand strategy, you know, really developing your offering and who you are, and how to communicate that. And then in another couple of months, we're going to be delivering another video on using social media and ways to do that, using digital marketing ways to do that.
Yes.
So we're trying, we hear that people need that sort of support.
Yes.
But I can really understand how tricky it can be to get your head around so much so quickly.
Well, I'm very lucky that I'm in Sydney in the council here. Some of the councils have teamed up and they're doing a lot of support for small businesses. So other people might be interested in this and might find that this is available in their council areas, whereby they've been doing it for about 12 months, and I went to a couple where you physically go somewhere to do a workshop. But now suddenly they're putting it all online, and they seem to be turning out one a week. And
Fabulous.
it's a very good resource actually. They've got very good speakers presenting it. So I did one last week which was about having a Facebook business page. Again, it's not an area that
Very
I
useful.
want to do,
Yeah.
but so times are forcing us to consider this. Yeah.
Thanks, Susie.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very valuable. Can I just say, I was supposed to, at the very beginning, I was supposed to ask someone to nominate themselves as a spokesperson to just deliver back some themes to the big group. Has anyone been listening intensely and would like to do that? No? No volunteers?
I don't mind.
Thanks, Susie. Great. All right. So yes, it is a challenge to get across all the range of skills required to be able to deliver online and be able to move your business so quickly into another realm, isn't it?
Mm.
And we're definitely keen to support people with that. So as I said, there's the videos coming up, but I've also made notes of so that I can feed back, the things that people need. Anyone else like to share? We've got about 4 minutes left. Hi, Fiona.
Fiona, hi everyone. I'm living in Broome and have been up here for about 8 years now. So the teaching side of things is quite new for me. And so really the whole COVID has been a bit of a catalyst to actually get things up and running for me. And I was right on the cusp, Susie, I was listening to you about the difficulties with marketing too, because prior to Christmas time, I, sort of had some engagement with a local yoga group. And the centre there, the lady that runs it, her background is marketing. And of course, with COVID coming into place, it meant that everything had to sort of be considered differently. And so we talked about Zoom. What I found for me personally was that I actually quite like Zoom. I quite like video conferencing. I'm quite comfortable with it in the remote areas. We use it a lot. But what I found for me was that I was not comfortable in the yoga space. It was an empty building. And I think for the people that were using Zoom for the first time, it was really intimidating, to sort of invite people into their own privacy was really difficult. So for me, I felt like, my introduction session was a disaster because I was speaking to a pretty much a blank screen where there was pretty much no interaction. So for me, as a practitioner, I found that very challenging and I wasn't quite prepared for that. But the actual meditation, I led a couple of meditations. The feedback I got from that was really positive. So I guess what I learned from that was I just said to that, look, I need to put all that on hold. I just don't feel comfortable physically in that space. So what I have been doing though is I've been continuing to teach, but just with friends. And they've sort of been inviting some family members in, and probably the practice that I've found probably most comforting for people at the moment is yoga nidra.
Yeah, great.
And I think people that are new to meditation, they don't find that very intimidating either. And so there's been some loveliness in that for me. So out of that, I've managed to have, while we're running a session this afternoon or this evening for Victoria, a couple of groups of friends through that. And it has also, I'm a nurse also by the way, but I've been on extended leave for a number of months. So it has given me some time too to sort of look at my web page, which Susie, I absolutely understand what you're saying. I think I've spent about 18 months using Wix. And then I felt obligated to do Facebook, and it's challenging. And I think what's really challenging for me right now is when I feel like I've had enough of Facebook. It's very overwhelming. And it almost feels like it's been saturated a little bit with a lot of stuff from meditation, not just in Australia. I'm Chopra certified, so I'm getting a lot of stuff from that end as well. So I'm a little bit apprehensive that I'm not bombarding people with information. So it's that fine line, isn't it, between, I guess, your sense of integrity about the practice, which for me is about it evolving naturally and people being drawn to you, if you
Sorry,
like.
Fiona, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The breakout room finishes automatically and it may finish in a few seconds.
Sure. I was just going to say, it's just that fine line between marketing and not overwhelming.
Yeah, completely true. It's okay. I think we've got 112 seconds, so we're okay.
I'll let someone else speak now. Yeah,
thank you for sharing.
Can I just ask, Fiona, because I've never been on Facebook. This is why it's all absolutely new to me. But you're saying that there is an awful lot out there already on Facebook about meditation. So that's probably not a good area to go into for marketing.
Yeah. Look, I two things. I've set up my own business page, like as a business page through Facebook. It's not overly active. It's sort of just the bare bones at the moment. But prior to that, with all of COVID, I volunteered my services through Adopt a Health Worker page and created a meditation page and ran sort of free meditation. What happened with that, I got bombarded, like, I don't know where it all came from, but all around the world, all of a sudden, all those meditation businesses. So I guess I need to learn to be a bit savvy there. But I think also it's just, there's a lot of information I'm finding through my email, because I am with the Chopra Global, which I love. I'm getting a lot of information there. There's a lot of information from other meditation feeds, if you like. It's a bit like anything with email or Facebook. Once you show an interest in something, all of a sudden it all starts feeding in.
And you really need to then spend the whole day on your computer just sifting through all this information, which you do not want to do.
Yeah. So I actually removed my meditation one for Adopt a Health Worker because it lost its focus, it lost its premise. And I just invited people to contact me otherwise if they wanted to, but I'm not charging for anything. And I think that's the other thing, I'm not charging for any of the practices I'm doing at the moment.
Okay.
We're going to be closing in a few seconds.
Could I just ask a question?
Yes.
I'm on my iPhone, but I would like to go onto my computer, and on my computer I'm still in the waiting room. My name's Atherley. Could you let me in on there and I'll close here because I'm sitting here holding my phone.
Sure,
Yeah,
I'll do that, Atherley.
There we go.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Thank you. I'll stay here till it's...
We'll see two of you for a minute. That's okay.
Oh, it's connecting now.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. I'm in. Okay, I'll close this down.
So Liv, I think that's everybody back.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. So the purpose of this reconnecting, actually, before I go into that, Kevin and Lisa, Ash and I were just saying we felt 15 minutes wasn't quite long enough for the first topic. You call if we go to 20 minutes for the next two. Great. So welcome back, everybody, to the broader group. We would just love to hear from a spokesperson from each of the groups, just any key themes that came out, obviously acknowledging any confidentiality of our participants within each of the rooms, but just any key themes you'd like to share. So perhaps I'll ask for my group spokesperson to go first to get the ball rolling. It's always toughest to go first.
That's
so
cool.
Let's give him, go for it.
Yeah, thanks. I felt like the key themes were that, it's absolutely been a massive change and that's come with opportunity and challenge. In some ways the Zoom platform has been wonderful to continue the connection and to maybe even enhance connection, and in other ways it's made connection a little more difficult. There's obviously so much to be gained from in person, and and yet at the same time it's wonderful to have Zoom as an option, even with its challenges. Work seems to be, seems to have generally dried up or reduced for people, and yet that's creating some other ways in which to seek work, and of course online being one of the big ones. How's that, Liv?
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. All right, now to Ash's group. Who is your spokesperson?
It's actually going to be me for this one because we spend a lot of time talking and not a lot of time logistically. So
Okay.
next time around we'll have someone else for sure. But really, a lot of what came out of our group really just resonates with what Tim was saying. There was kind of things in both columns, this idea of moving across to Zoom, and obviously a lot of work to actually get that to happen, which creates a bit of pressure. Trying to move from a physical space to an online space takes a lot of work, and we were talking about the learning curve with technology. I think one of our members was talking about just the ability to mute and unmute was something that they had to kind of learn. So I think everything that Tim was saying kind of hits spot on, really. Definitely a downturn in business and trying to get creative and looking for ways to keep delivering. There was some concern in our group that maybe some of that connection that you feel physically would be lost. And I guess realizing that not all of it was, but it was definitely different, and needing to understand how to bring different ways to it. One of the ladies in our group was beautifully talking about making Zoom a sacred space by asking participants to bring their favorite cup or bring a candle or do something which kind of connects everybody together, even in the online space, which I thought was quite beautiful. Mm-hmm. So yeah, good job, Tim. You kind of summed up our room as well.
Thanks, Ash. And over to Kevin's room. Who's your spokesperson?
That would be me.
Leanne, hello and welcome. Where are you from, Leanne?
I'm from the Wollondilly Shire, just south of Sydney.
Ah, fantastic.
So I think, again, flowing on from what has been spoken about by Ash and Tim, there was also talk about a real feeling at the very beginning of some instability and fear around what was happening and the changes, how quickly they occurred, and then also finding maybe a little bit of the pressure of the expectations, because we're a meditation teacher, we should be able to cope, we should be the example of what we're doing for those we have in our groups or those around us. And then there's been adjustment with our own practice as well, supporting. Some have found it a little bit easier, some have gained time, others with family around, that has changed the dynamics as well as of having their own time. And then the other theme again is that it has provided some opportunities that opened up for people because you're at home, so things that may not have been, you were not finding the time, but your time opened up and you followed through with new experiences, and IT being one of them.
Yeah, beautiful.
I think that's about it.
Thanks, Leanne. Awesome. I just wanted to, maybe pick up one of those key points there, which was around that expectation, because we're meditation teachers, we should be able to cope with what's happening. And it's something that we were talking about just as a board just recently, is that there's something quite beautiful about the humanness that Zoom is bringing out for all of us, with people can see our lounge rooms and our dogs and maybe hear our kids and things like that. And there's something really quite gorgeous, I think, about maybe bridging that gap between what the ideal meditation's teacher's meant to look like, someone that's got it all together and everything's fabulous, and the reality of our lives, that's not always the case. So I really understand, and I'm sure many people on this call understand, Leanne, that sense of that pressure to, you need to have it all together. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's a really integral point, and I wonder whether the face of meditation will change a little bit as a result of this experience we've all had. Over to you, Lise, your group. Who's your spokesperson?
Yes, Susie.
I'm
Hi,
not
Susie.
lighting up. Here I am.
There you are.
Here I am.
Susie, tell us about where are you from?
So I'm based in Sydney.
Ah, fantastic.
Yes. So I think it's we covered a lot of what you've already said. I think the only thing that hasn't been mentioned is, as well as having to get a lot more technical, is we're also having to look at marketing, which is not necessarily our foremost skill. And that is proving very, very challenging. I was saying that I'm very lucky here in Sydney, my council area, they're running lots and lots of webinars for getting your small business online.
Wow.
And there's all sorts of different aspects. So depending on where you live, you might find that your council area offers something similar. So it's definitely worth looking into just on council website. Now I was,
Thank you.
shall I add one more bit?
Yes, please do.
I don't know whether this is supposed to be what's being covered later, more on marketing, but I actually went to or listened to a webinar last week, which was about having a Facebook business page, not an area that I'd ever considered or ever even wanted to even have to think about. I'm not even on Facebook. But having watched the webinar, I was thinking, well, actually, maybe this is the way to go. But having listened to somebody else talking about Facebook and the fact that she advertised the fact that she was willing to do some free meditation, she suddenly got bombarded with all these meditation businesses. So I'm now having a rethink about whether I think Facebook is actually a good way to market the business, because it sounds as if there's actually a huge number of meditation businesses out there using that front and or that platform, and I'm not sure it is necessarily the best. So that's the big thing that just came out of our room that I felt was significant, well, particularly for me, because I'm really looking at marketing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for that, Susie. And it's interesting that marketing actually came up in our group as well as an area for us all to consider how we go about it. And as we wrap up the session today, the amazing Lisa is going to be sharing some tips around some marketing for us, and then also talking about a marketing masterclass that's coming up through Meditation Australia in the next couple of weeks. So you've hit the nail on the head when it comes to marketing for sure. All right, guys, we are going to break up back into our small groups, and now we're going to be hitting around the professional topic and any other skill gaps that perhaps we might have noticed, and just exploring that together. Obviously, we know because personal and professional are very difficult to separate, so of course there's going to be a degree of crossover. So let's just spend another 20 minutes together, and then we'll take more of a macro view in the final section and really look at society and community and the role of meditation moving forward. Because if you think about it, you know, while this pandemic is a form of the flu, it's obviously a virus, there's the mental health pandemic and the flow-on effects on the mental health of our country. That is going to be a very real challenge for all of us to support and manage. So that's really the focus for the final topic. But now we're moving now into our professional, so our workplace, and perhaps some of the things that have changed for us in that space. So Lise, I'm going to hand over to you to pop us into our secret groups again.
Okay, ready? Let's go.
Okay.
Okay, sorry to interrupt the flow of your chat. Is there before we get going, I just need to nominate someone to be someone needs to volunteer to be the spokesperson. Someone else like to do that job this time? Great, well done, Susie. Great job.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone?
I'm happy to do it again. I don't mind.
Okay. Does anyone else like to have a go? No? Yeah, Athlete? Beautiful. Okay, lovely. Thank you. All right. Sorry, please keep going with what you're saying. So did you have the questions that we are talking about? One is professionally, what kind of support or help would you like from Meditation Australia, and what kind of skill gaps have you noticed? I'll unmute everyone here so that everyone's free to speak.
Well, the skill gaps are definitely the technical and the marketing for me personally, but I'm not really sure. I mean, the fact that you're putting on these the professional development workshops and the, you know, for marketing is fantastic. I really appreciate that.
Right.
Could you just say the question again, please, Lisa? I couldn't, is it in there?
In the chat box, it says, what kind of support or help would you like from Meditation Australia?
Oh,
And
right.
what kind of skill gaps have you noticed?
It's not in my chat box.
No, it's not my,
okay.
it's not
Oh,
my
maybe
chat box either.
a private facilitator thing there. Yeah, okay. So
Support.
what kind of support or help would you like from Meditation Australia, and what kind of skill gaps have you noticed? Would someone like to share who hasn't already shared?
Yeah, I think things like
Like, we can hear you.
you can.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Like Susie said before, the fact that you're offering PD online, that even just getting onto a Zoom is broadening our experience to start with if we haven't done something like this before. And I was in touch with Yoga Australia last week to speak to them about PD and what options were available for people who practice meditation, who practice yoga. So it's really good to have that support as a start.
Yep, for sure. That's great.
By PD, you mean, am I being?
Professional development.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Some peer support. That's really what we're doing here.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the questions that's in my mind, with as we normally do things face-to-face sort of thing and hands-on, with the Zoom, as the Zoom grows, and we get areas and we get people in further out areas than we would normally look after, how do we feel about when we do go back to sort of normal, so I say normal, but when we do go, things change back, about those people? I think one of the concerns for me is that to be able to support them down the track, or does other people see that the Zoom will be something, will be a change of life, that we do that as well? I'm just curious what others are thinking.
I think that Zoom will still have a place moving forward. It may only be a small part of it, but I think with people getting used to video conferencing, becoming more comfortable with it, I think there is a place for it, but everyone needs to work out how much of their offering is video conferencing and how much is live. Personally, I much prefer the live face-to-face, but I do see a place for Zoom, even if it's just a small part of the future.
Yes, I agree, because I think some people have discovered that actually it's really great to be able to do these things from your living room and not have to go out to them. And I think meditation is one of those things that if you haven't got somewhere that's local for you to go to, and you've got to drive a distance, you do a meditation session and the last thing you want to do is feel like you've got to drive for 45 minutes to get home or whatever. So I think in that respect, Zoom is going to, well, I've already decided that I've put a free weekly session on my website and I'm going to carry on with it even when all this is over, because I've actually got friends from the UK who have joined it, and so I think I will continue. So it's definitely made a change in the way I'm operating, and part of that change will stay.
That's really interesting, Susie. And in a way, then it can possibly, there can be a hidden blessing in all of this, in that it may end up expanding your reach far further than you might otherwise have done.
That's true, yes.
Lisa, one thing for you, would this be something that Meditation Australia look at for our lectures and seminars and those sorts of things in the future?
We generally, when we do offer something live, we try to offer a video element to it. So we might record the talks, for example, and then offer them for sale on the website. And we try and do that because obviously our membership is far and wide across Australia as well. So we always do have that in our minds when we're creating things. And when we were just talking before this session began about the possibility of offering national pods just like we have today. Normally our pods are held in Melbourne, or they're held in Brisbane or Sydney, but they're a bit of they're quite a bit of work to organise in terms of each city, and then we still can't reach a lot of people. So having a national offering like this where everyone can come together from all around Australia, I think is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
The only thing with that is with the ones that I've been to so far in the past is that the main ones are done, but I know the offshoots that I went in with Craig Hassett last time, and he was fantastic. But there was no recordings of those sorts of ones, is there?
Okay. Is that the one, the masterclass sessions? Yeah. Yes, that was recorded, and the video is actually, if you attended that day, you should have been able to access the videos for free. Okay. And otherwise, if you weren't able to attend, those masterclasses are available for sale on the web. Now, they're meant to be on the website, and we're working on developing our website so that we'll offer those for sale. But I can, Ian, if you email Karen at meditationaustralia.org.au, she will be able to give you access to those recordings, especially if you were already there. You've already paid for your ticket.
Yep, no problem.
I'd just like to sort of discuss my situation. I'm studying in Lisa's course, and I have reached my final assessment, and I had a group of ladies in a small community I live just south of Sydney, but I couldn't get them into the room. I had to record a live video to hand in for assessment and case studies. And then COVID hit, and they offered Zoom, which for me worked. And I've got a group of women that 6 women that one lives in France, the rest are in Australia, but all over Australia. And so having not conducted live video, meditations yet with a group of people, this is my first introduction. So for me, it's kind of normal. I mean, I'm really looking forward to when I can hold a personal and have people in the room with me, but it's like they're with me. I did my assessment the other night, and I made a shrine to each of them, and I showed them all, and then I held my class, and they're really enjoying it. And I'm enjoying it because we don't have to leave. I feel that, especially with winter coming, you know, the fact that they can actually be in their room. The lady in France, it's 12 o'clock in the day for her. The others are all here in Sydney or you know, around Australia with me. But it's kind of a nice introduction to because I wasn't apprehensive or nervous, because I'd done some Zoom practice before, not meetings, not meditation. So I was quite comfortable. So that's my professional start to my, well, I haven't passed yet, but my profession is through Zoom. So it's kind of bizarre, virtual world, but yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you for that, Ashley. That's really, it's interesting to hear that other perspective of someone who hasn't done a lot of face-to-face, you know, just being introduced to that world immediate, you know, at the outset, and then discovering what the benefits are. I actually just completed a retreat, a 4-day retreat online, and I found it fabulous. And there were some interesting surprises that wouldn't have otherwise have been there in a face-to-face retreat. Of course, it will never replace face-to-face, but
no, that was
just the experience of being able to have a session and then go back and be with my family immediately meant there was this seamless integration of what I was experiencing in the retreat and my day-to-day life. Whereas otherwise, you know, go away to a retreat, you're there for 3 or 4 days, you immerse yourself, you go very deep, and then you have this phase of re-entry, which can be quite challenging. So it was like the work that I was doing in the sessions, which was still very deep, was becoming integrated immediately into my life. And I just felt this unity in what I was doing, where there was otherwise a sense of separation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
does. I think it's
I,
this scope of this is going to be quite broad when we come out.
I think there's some loveliness in people being able to practice from home, because I think that what that does is it encourages people to get some flexibility also in what they're doing. And Athalie, I'm like yourself, I'm a newbie, and so I was just on the cusp of sort of stepping out, but COVID came in, so most of what I have been doing has been by Zoom, but with close family and friends. But what I've found is that I think for men in particular, the Zoom seems to be less intimidating. Now, I don't know if you fellows, Greg and Anne, can comment on that, but you know, I've had men participate in my yoga nidra that I know have been avid skeptics, but for some reason this has created a space of comfort for them. So I think there's some loveliness in that perhaps for people that might find that one-on-one or being in a space with others that they don't necessarily know might be a bit intimidating for them. So my plan from here is actually to build upon this concept of inviting groups of friends, you know, to create their own Zoom space, if you like, because I think there is that connection. And the feedback I've had, Athalie, also is from women that one group of women that are all interstate for me, but they were incredibly surprised that we could still create this sense of connection. So I think, you know, there's a lot of loveliness that comes out of that, and I think it will invite people that otherwise may not participate in meditation.
That's a lovely point, Fiona. Really great. Thank you. Greg,
think,
did you? Go on.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say that I think that the question was whether or not we wanted more from Meditation Australia, and I actually think that you've done heaps, to be honest. It's that connection with the Yoga Australia and those morning meditations. Yeah, and I took part in that, and I really enjoyed being able to present online because I hadn't done that before.
Right.
And even just this today, I thought, when Susie spoke of the free weekly meditation, I thought, maybe I could do something like that. And yeah, it's inspirational. I really do find great support from the group.
Thank you. That's great to hear. I think that there's also some opportunities in this offering free meditations online where you can potentially build a bigger group,
exactly.
By having people connect to your energy and connect to your style of meditation and sample it in a way, at a time when people are actually open to new ideas, new ways to do things.
Exactly. It is an opportunity that we never thought we'd get, and I hope we don't actually get one again, but quite like this, to be honest. But yeah, I think if we can see the silver lining in it, that's a good thing.
One of the other things is there's a lot of people working from home now, so some people have got a bit more time. Like, you know, if they're sort of day on, day off work or whatever, some people seem to have more time sort of thing now. So they're looking for, you know, the meditation type thing.
Yes, definitely. And people are feeling agitated and stressed. I don't know about you, but I'm homeschooling a child.
Yeah.
I've got my husband home. I'm running my school. It's a lot. And I'm living at my mother's house while my house is being renovated. So everything is happening all at once. And, you know, agitation plus, stress plus. So it's people are looking for that. People look, and it's almost as though a lot of people have been thinking, I want to meditate. And now there's almost an opportunity because there's so much available for free. Paid as well, but so much available. I know my meditation teachers, you know, Helen with Ken and Elizabeth, they've been offering so much online, so much more than they ever did before. It's so much more accessible.
I think how we present ourselves now in this sort of crisis is so, it's sort of it's a testament to who we are as people, ongoing. So I think it's really important how you portray yourself through this.
How you, yes, manage all the change and
and
all the challenges.
And not take advantage of it, but offerings that you can give.
Yeah. It's an opportunity for a lot of altruism, isn't it, and connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I suppose there's a lot of people could be taking advantage of people out there. So just to be honest and true, it's very hard. There's so much, like you say, there's so much going on. There's so many offerings, and it's nearly overwhelming about what's going on for free, you know, or it's you know, you can get sucked in, but it's about wading through the, you know, the stuff to find the...
And trusting your feelings, trusting that intuition and that instinct as to what you feel drawn to. Yeah.
I'll just come back to what we were originally talking about, which is how Meditation Australia can support us professionally. Because I'm new to this and where I live is quite isolated, I think there's probably one other meditation teacher in Broome that I know of. My accessibility to other experienced meditation teachers is quite limited. And I really enjoy hearing other people's stories, you know, about their style of practice, their clients. And for me, that's a lovely way to learn because, you know, I feel like I'm just at my very beginnings, and it is always lovely to hear other people's stories. So is that something that, I mean, I'm not sure if that's something that you're already doing, but for me professionally, I think that I would find that really helpful to, you know, learn more from other people about their styles, what they're teaching, their interests, and maybe how that even segues into maybe some previous professional practice that they do, because that's where I'm interested in also, you know, it's just sort of finding out, well, how do we take this practice and assist people to incorporate that more and more into everyday way of being. And I think, and I can only speak for my space where I am here, I think, you know, we're a little way behind yet, you know, sort of integrating meditation into corporate, for example. But I'd love to hear from other people, you know, and their stories. I think that would be something that I could really learn from.
That's great. Thanks, Fiona. I've made some notes and I'll feed that back to Meditation Australia.
Cool.
And we've got 2 more minutes. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
I'd just like to agree that I think these Zoom sessions do allow people like myself who's still very new to this to connect with other like-minded people and see how they do it. So I found the morning meditations and sessions like this very valuable.
Very supportive.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of value in, you know, whether it's online or whether it's face-to-face, attending other people's meditation groups when you're a meditation teacher. I think that's, you learn so much, whether it's maybe you might find out what you don't want to do, or you just might get an idea or two. It's so valuable, and it's really also feeding yourself and nurturing yourself and taking care of yourself so that, you know, you're in a better space to help others as well.
Yeah, exactly. Giving yourself some, otherwise you get bogged down in your own head. So it's great to go and just to sit down and have someone lead you, and it's a bit of nurturing, like you say, for yourself.
Yeah, it's nice not to have to be in charge, isn't it? To have to be the leader.
One of the ladies on my course is a voice coach, and she does a lot of drama and a lot of you know, of our actors and world actors. Anyway, she just said to me, I said to her, would you like to come and do this to help me with my assessment? She said, you know what? I'd love to, because it lets me not be the teacher and sit down, and for half an hour, you're in charge.
5 seconds till we can.
So that's good.
Welcome back, everybody. I can't see Lise. There she is. Okay, all groups are back. Wonderful. So again, we're just going to do a quick flick around the groups and hear of any themes or tips or ideas, really looking at that professional domain. So this time I might start with, we'll go backwards. So maybe Lisa's group, whoever your spokesperson is, Lise.
Okay, we've got athlete.
Excellent.
Hi. If I miss something, Lisa, you can fill in. We actually discussed quite a few things, and people were very supportive in Meditation Australia's what they've been doing for people. For instance, the morning meditation, this podcast. They were quite happy with what's been being done and how you've supported us. Also, they were saying that they would like some marketing. Someone did actually say they would really like to learn from others, to hear some other stories from other meditation teachers. Being a new, because for myself, I'm sort of just getting there, just graduating. This lady was the same. She had actually said it would be nice to hear other people's journeys or their stories or from others to help. What else do we say?
Do you think, I mean, because we could definitely share that in this kind of forum, but would, and maybe just a show of hands if you think this is a good idea, but would written stories be helpful on the website? So other teachers' journeys?
Yeah.
What I learned, and this is
saying. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So that for people like myself who are just graduating, and this lady, I've never taught on a face-to-face meditation class. COVID hit, so I'm doing everything on Zoom. So for me, it's normal.
Yeah.
So that's my gig. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's quite good. But we also spoke about how do we offer support down the track if we get into Zoom, and it gets big because you can have so many people in Zoom, a class, and then down the track when we phase out, should we be it's so expanded, how do we offer support, or what happens? Perhaps, what happened? We need a bit of direction leading out of Zoom.
Yeah.
To guide us back to the so-called, whatever the real world's going to be on the other side, that calm world. We also, what else did we talked about online retreats. Lisa had just conducted a 4-day online retreat and how well that went for her, and that it was quite refreshing, and she was not surprised, but she was really happy with the way it went. And we also discussed Zoom, how it's encouraging different people to meditate. One lady said that guys who are maybe a bit more intimidated by meditation have come in, and because they're in their own space, it's really something that they're actually embracing and able to do, which made sense. So it's a good thing for us at this time to take advantage of, and maybe people can sample this. As professionals, we actually should be presenting, thinking about how we present right now to the world out there, and it's very important that we have that professional profile out there, because people then maybe come and sample and take that away with them.
Yep.
I think that was it. Was it, Lisa?
Sounds like a very productive 20 minutes you guys had.
We did.
Fantastic. All right. On to Kevin's group.
That was me again.
Leanne, you put your hand up again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You were gently encouraged by the look of it.
That's all right. So Kevin, please step in again if I have not covered some points. Couple of the things that I sensed we got out of our talk was bringing up whether Meditation Australia, if there was some sort of platform of where businesses, professions, corporate could come to Meditation Australia offering that they would like somebody to present meditation, mindfulness, wellbeing support to their organisation, that then could be given to the members of Meditation Australia as work, in a sense. I brought up the fact for myself, I have the sense that I am an introvert, and I feel that a lot of people I come across as meditation teachers, there is that introverted part where we then find it very hard to put ourselves out there and market ourselves.
Yeah.
So for me, like the last 18 months has been stepping out of my comfort zone, looking for work and searching for work and trying to find the work. And a lot of it's been word of mouth. So is there a way where we can bring that into like a jobs classified? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's a brilliant idea, Leanne, and it is absolutely something as of the board we have discussed.
Yep.
And we've really tried to workshop a way we could do it to make sure it's fair and equitable and not favouring anybody, and there's all that kind of thing. So I mean, I know the board would love to hear ideas. If you guys want to, contact Meditation Australia with just ideas, we're desperate for them. We would love to hear what you guys want. We're here to serve you and to support your business to grow for the benefit of the mental health and the peace and kindness for all Australians. So yeah, that's an awesome idea. I've noted that down on my list for sure.
And then building on from that as well, and looking even at what kind of skill gaps have you noticed? Well, my experience even in the last week was NDIS as an organisation and people's mental health, well-being, and I was asked to write a letter of recommendation. Well, I had no idea what to do as a letter of recommendation for a person to be able to use the NDIS funding to be able to access meditation, my online meditation group.
What a great point.
Okay. So the person was able to help me, and I got the framework and I've been able to tweak it, but it really, I'm just like, I've never done this before. So I could see that will potentially becoming more and more prevalent with people's well-being, NDIS as a funding body.
Thank you.
And then in that as well, people were talking in our group about educating, the continuing education of other professionals, that this to try and shift the culture, because there seems to be a little bit of a territorial aspect when you try to say I'm a meditation teacher in particularly the medical profession, and maybe psychologists, no offense to any psychologists, but that there has been noted by others in our group of that little feeling of territorial by psychologists. It's like, oh, you haven't been to university, you're just a meditation teacher. So perhaps a little bit more ongoing education.
I think a real opportunity for our board is to definitely build a partnership with the Australian Psychological Society.
Yeah.
And, I think that says more about the people saying things like that than it does about us. So that's, we can psychoanalyze them. But I agree. I think that there's a lot more education about the credibility and the training and the rigor with which we practice, and the code of ethics with which we practice within, not to mention, we've all got some kind of professional supervision and things like that. So yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. Great ideas, you guys.
And then, and to try and help them move, someone was mentioning moving away from that meditation is something that is offered by particularly GPs for when a person comes to them as stressed and in that probably crux of anxiety and such. For everybody's well-being, doctors will say go for a walk. Well, we'd love to see that for an ongoing well-being support, that meditation is offered.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Great. Thank you so much. Another awesome group. Now on to Ash's group. Who is your spokesperson?
So we had Michelle.
Michelle, where are you, Michelle? You look like you're somewhere hot. Are you in Byron Bay?
No, I'm in Broome.
Oh, you're lucky.
The first good thing about all you Eastern Australians being forced onto Zoom is that I can now attend talks, meetings, yoga sessions, meditations anywhere
Yeah,
in Australia and beyond.
absolutely.
So our group about that actually at the start, just that one of the big things, and maybe this won't change back after the COVID restrictions, is that we've opened our borders, and so we in Australia we can teach in Europe, you know, I'm remote, I can access things, so yeah, that is a big advantage. But then we talked about how these changes were so very quick and left so many of us unprepared, and as meditation teachers, technology is not our thing. And so people really talked a lot about not knowing what equipment they might need, having their business dollars perhaps go down a little bit. So in reality, spending money on microphones and cameras and programs, you really want to know what you're purchasing and whether it's what you need and whether it will meet the purpose. And people talked about feeling they didn't even know who to go to. They're just searching the web, or don't have technologically minded friends. So that was a potential other thing for Meditation Australia, is perhaps looking at a session about technology, including equipment and little hints. We talked about, you're not quite sure if the sound that the people on the other side are getting. We talked about that challenge of some people have had the experience of presenting to large groups of people, but they've all got their cameras off. So you're not getting any feedback about, how they're receiving what you're doing. If you've got them in silence, you're just not able to register what are they hearing. Are they hearing the buzz of my computer, or yeah, so all those challenges we talked about, and whether MA can help just with that technology.
Awesome. That's a great idea as well, Michelle and Ash's group. Thank you so much. Ash, did you want to say something?
Well, yeah, I was just going to mention exactly that. I think it'd be very possible for Meditation Australia to put on a session around technology, how to use Zoom effectively, the different kinds of microphones you can buy from, cheaper to more, just to have a conversation around that topic, because I think a lot of people are maybe struggling with what they need and how to use it properly. Like we were even mentioning some little tips and tricks on Zoom just in that little session that we had. But one of the things I also wanted to mention about Michelle is that a lot of her clientele are actually very remote communities and Indigenous communities, and we have an expectation, or certainly we do here in Melbourne and Sydney, wherever, that everyone's going to have a smartphone, everyone's going to have a laptop, and that they're going to be able to log on if we just send them a Zoom link. And that's not the case with Michelle. So a lot of the time she's now resorting to, having to do her work meditation sessions just over the telephone. And so I think that whilst we have a solution in many cases ourselves, that's not the case for everybody. And this is really highlighting some of those remote communities where, a technological solution is not that simple.
Thanks, Ash. Thanks, Michelle. So guys, I'm thinking we might take a little break just before we do my group feedback, and then we'll come back, do my group feedback really quickly, and then we'll break out into our final session. I'm conscious of everybody's time, so we might make the final session 15 minutes instead of 20, and that will give us a nice 10-minute gap at the end to do a final wrap up and to have a few announcements. So let's just take a 5-minute break. So we'll see you back here at 4:20. Actually, a 4-minute break. See you back here at 4:30. What do you reckon? 6-minute break. Let's live on the edge. See you back here at 4:30. All right, everybody. Welcome back. So just to wrap up that second discussion, so I'd love to hand over to Carolyn from my group, just to share some of the things that we covered there around professional.
Great, thanks, Liv. A few of the things we talked about as a group was that there's been both increases and decreases in demand over this time. So for those sessions that were face-to-face, moving them to online, that's been really challenging. But for those existing programs that were already online, and that was their intended purpose, and it always has been. There's been huge increases for one of our team members in particular in that space. So that's been really interesting. I think that the current environment has certainly been a burning platform for us to get digital and to get virtual in so many ways. So even post this current environment, how many households would have downloaded Zoom, whereas if we'd all been out there trying to do that on our own, probably would have taken us a lot longer than now. Most people will be familiar with those sorts of experiences through this time. So I know for me, I've put off doing video content and other voice recordings and things like that. There's always a really great excuse, including bad hair days or the light's not right or I'm just not feeling it, tomorrow will be better. So this environment's really pushed me to do that and to just get out there, and I'm seeing so many other people doing it as well. So that's been really inspiring. And I think someone else mentioned earlier, just bringing that human element to it rather than it having to be perfect, which I think a lot of online content we're required to be before. So I think that that's been quite nice and just made me a little more chilled out about getting started in that space. We talked about this time being an opportunity for personal and professional development. So without, people are reading books in ways that they haven't before, finding time to do that, or really fascinated to learn more about technology, but also learning about ourselves and our family members, perhaps in ways we hadn't before, talking about, triggers and really that deep sense of who we are, how we're feeling, what we're thinking, and just bringing more awareness to that. And I was talking about, for me, I've been home for 8 weeks now. I live on my own, and initially I went a little wild. I'm employed. I have 2 of my own businesses, and I'm studying my meditation teacher training. And I thought, oh, great, this is going to be the perfect opportunity for me to nail it. Working until 1 o'clock in the morning and getting it up and doing it all again, usually from my couch that became my office, my meditation space, my Netflix space, and where I had all my meals. So that wasn't working out for me. And I've spent the last little while trying to create boundaries for myself between my different roles and jobs so that I can look after myself a bit better. So I've tried to do that, because what I would do is if I went to a particular place, that was my place of work for that job, and without leaving the house anymore, it's all just a bit of a jumbled mess. So I've tried creating spaces in my house where I do different things, trying to stay disciplined about where I do particular pieces of work. I meditate now in a separate space rather than in my bedroom. I make sure I'm disciplined about eating my dinner at the dining table. And so that when I am on the couch now, I'm allowed to chill out and do nothing but kill brain cells. So so for me, it's been about creating some boundaries.
Thank you so much for that, Carolyn. And it's so great to share that observation about boundaries. And I think, through our meditation, that's where we start to build our self-awareness, and we can start to then self-regulate and self-manage. And that brings us to the next topic, where really, as we start to transition back to whatever post-COVID-19 life looks like, that capacity for our country, our world, to have more insight and more consciousness and really be paying attention, because there's a lot of behaviours we've changed as a result of the physical isolation and then the blurring of boundaries with work. So I'd like to encourage everybody to move off into their breakout rooms again, where we're really talking about the societal, so taking more of a macro level. And really the question is, how do you see meditation as a resource for the current times? And then I'd extend that as well into the future, so that transition back to whatever the new normal will look like. So we're going to make this one 15 minutes long, so we'll see you back here at 10 to 5. Thanks, Lise.
So I'll just unmute everyone. Would someone else like to volunteer as a spokesperson? Did someone volunteer before that couldn't do it? Anyone?
I'm happy to do it again.
Oh, well, if you like.
Oh, thanks, Fiona. Good
Good on you, Fiona.
Okay, so the question is...
I forget stuff, Susie.
Now let's go back to the question of how do you see meditation as a resource for the current times? Anyone like to comment?
I'll make a comment. I think it's a fabulous resource in easing everybody's anxiety, but I think a lot of people just still don't recognise that it is. I think that's often the biggest challenge. I find that people are can be very dismissive of meditation, and then there are those that accept that, well, okay, maybe I'm not dismissive of it, but it's not for me. So I think a lot of people who could really benefit from it are not.
It's been my experience that people that have had something to do with meditation in the past have found in their frustrations and their stress right now that they're willing to go back and begin again, and that's been quite heartening.
Thanks, Helen. It's always in anyone's journey, there's always, I found for me anyway, seeds planted along the way that
yes,
eventually germinate possibly 10, 15 years down the track.
Yes.
So, you know, it's never wasted.
Yes, and one often needs a crisis or some really intense event to want to reach out again for those inner skills that have been there, as you say, in that seed state. So that's a good time for now, I think, for people to begin to sort of reach out and find different ways that they can meditate and learn those sort of calm inner skills that we all need to listen.
It's definitely spreading, isn't it? And it's
Yes.
shown where it's a positive virus in a way.
Yes, yes.
You know, that is spreading. I feel it's really, really spreading.
Good, good.
So,
Yes.
yes.
But I would like to see, and I've pondered this because of my own children. I've got my two youngest are still at high school, but I would love to see a course introduced for kids that are interested in mind-body health to actually study meditation or, you know, some of the mind-body health practices in years, say, 10, 11 and 12, you know, that it actually be validated as something meaningful and important, and also an opportunity that can develop into a career. And I think then that gives it some more credibility, because I agree, I think trying to get that credibility, and as a nurse working with a variety of doctors, there's various views, you know, there's various views. I would love to see it, you know, introduced into the education program and offered to kids to actually learn it, and to inspire them to become teachers or some other form of integrated medicine.
Sorry, go ahead.
They're actually doing that, aren't they? With a lot of the schools, I know down this way, the schools are integrated into their teaching programs, and this is from preppies all the way through to year 12. And one of the seminars I went to one stage was with Craig Hassett, and like he's a doctor at Monash University, and they've actually introduced it into the curriculum for the doctors to learn. So I don't know whether it's a mandatory or they've just introduced it. You know, if they want to do it basis sort of thing. But there is a lot more push, and I think it is getting a lot more recognised by mainstream people in this area sort of thing.
Yes,
I've used it.
Actually, oh sorry, it's in the HS, one of the HSC topics now in health and what's it, HD? I can never remember what the acronym is.
Health and personal development.
Yes, HD PDH. So it's actually been integrated into part of the curriculum there. So it is becoming recognised, and I liken it a little bit to yoga, which 20 years ago was quite marginal, and now it's mainstream. And I think exactly the same is going to happen with meditation.
It's also making it real for the kids. I've taught meditation from prep to grade 6. We used to do it every morning just for 10 minutes, and it was a whole school thing. And the kids were amazing. They used to make comments like, I use it before I have a big race. I use it when I go to bed. I use it when I want to focus on something. And it's making it real for the kids, and it's encouraging them to see it as a part of their everyday life. It's really wonderful.
That's
It's
great.
How lovely.
It's a shame it's not everywhere.
And it tends to be, well, in primary school when I was teaching it, it was on an individual basis, but it was becoming more widespread. And we found even the parents who hung around in the mornings would stay out in the playground and do it as well, because we did it. I had to go to the office because you couldn't do it with all the kids. So it was from the office, and the teachers sort of supervised the kids. But it was amazing. It's really positive.
Wonderful. And that reiterates too, doesn't it, how important it is to get it in early, so that, you know, especially under 7, so that it does become part of their makeup.
It does. And you get the kids, and then they get their parents.
But it's interesting, it can be any age that people can take it up. I've got a 93-year-old that's learnt to meditate.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah,
So
18
true.
months doing it, so yeah, it's wonderful. 97-year-olds in the same class, but she's actually, she was she was a psychiatric nurse and did it herself when she was younger.
You know, I know sorry.
It's for everyone.
One of the ladies in this group, pardon me, that I had started working with for this assessment is 82, I think, but she's writing a book and she's a photographer.
Vibrant.
Never actually, she's a great friend, but she's never actually been able to meditate. And another lady in the group's never been able to meditate. Well, this is what they're saying, you know, clenched fists, the whole bit. And so them being, I think, using this Zoom, and they're actually in the comfort of their own home. I don't know. They have responded like she said. I've never slept a full night like that, Athalie, ever. And we've only had, that was on the first session. I've only had 3 sessions with them, and I thought, you know, that's because sometimes there's a kind of a connotation that comes with meditation. Oh, I can't do it. And so many people say to you, I can't meditate. And you know, it's the word, sometimes the word freaks them out. So I've taken that word out. Said, okay, girls, we're not here. We're calming. We're calminating. Okay, girls? And they're like, oh, yeah, we're calminating. So they turn up each week to calminate with me, not meditate, because they were so freaked out by the word, because there's so much going on. They said I should be able to meditate. Let's just take it away. Let's just hang out. And so, yeah, it was good. Well, it is going good. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks,
it's wonderful to help a skeptic move forward, but it's very difficult to work with someone that actually is very resistant to it. There's a big difference between those two.
Yeah.
But
and there are steps, aren't there?
Quite often they won't follow it through, will they?
No, they just won't. I've spoken to people and said, oh, would you like to join the group? Because, you know, I'm in a facility sometimes. And, oh, no, I would never do that, because they just truly don't understand. And it brings up things from their past that probably they're resistant to. And I would never force it on anyone.
No.
One of the beautiful things about meditation is that the practitioners speak for themselves in a way, don't they, in terms of people noticing the changes in them, and that it's more of a pull effect rather than a push effect, where if you're meditating regularly and you notice changes in yourself and people notice changes in you, they ask questions as to what's going on. And that it's such a beautiful organic way for it to spread, isn't it?
Yeah,
Also,
it's like you said, it's a good virus.
Yeah, I think what I've observed, just coming back to the current times and a resource, is that dealing with COVID and what it's brought up for so many people around their trust in Western medicine has been really interesting. And so I think it's actually almost inevitable that in this climate people are actually reaching out and really questioning Western medicine. And I'm not saying I'm against Western medicine, not at all, but I think they're wanting something more. And so I think the timing is very meaningful, and it's important that it's available to people so they come to their own conclusions about actually maybe this, or as Helen said, they've had glimpses of this in the past, but now it's a ripe opportunity to embrace it, because I think that is the thing with COVID. It's raised a lot of questions for people around their own health and how to manage it, but also I think trust is a huge thing in Western medicine. So I guess I think that it's a very valuable resource in current times.
And the more it's out there, in terms of, the more meditation's talked about, the more we see on Facebook as we're flicking through all the offerings that are around, it starts to normalise meditation, as though it's another modality available alongside yoga, alongside nature and exercise and other natural ways to support ourselves. And as it saturates our culture, it starts to take on a different identity in our minds and in the minds of people in our culture. It starts to become part of life, and then it sort of goes through these stages, doesn't it, of becoming more and more infiltrated into life. And I suppose that's the whole the tagline of Meditation Australia is meditation is an integral part of life. It has to go through its time and its stages, and you are all doing the work of getting it out there.
But I think almost on what Fiona was saying about people's fear, or not fear, but their wanting to look for something a little bit further, I think the value of our integrity as teachers is essential, and because it will only take someone to break the trust that can really impact everyone.
One of the things with this virus is too, it's changing daily, like medically, all the information that we get and we receive, that sort of thing, it's changing daily. But the long-term thing with it will be, this is going to go on for quite a long time. And, mental health and all those things, people are really going to be looking for and need this sort of relief sort of thing, the mental relief sort of thing. And like the other thing is I've noticed is that families are really, I'm probably a bit older than a lot, but like we went back to, we only had the shops open for 5.5 days. Sunday was all the family day with the roast, and the family would all get together, just their own household even. And I've noticed that a lot of households are doing all those sorts of things now, and they have time to spend with family and that sort of thing.
And we have time to cook lovely meals, don't we?
Yeah, there's definitely some good things have come out of it.
So we've got about 30 seconds to go. So any further comments?
No, I don't know. I think Zoom will be taken, what's happening now will be taken into the future though. And hopefully, like Ian said, maybe we can go back to that slower place. Sundays, the shops are closed. I've always said that whole commercialism that's taken over the world is just ridiculous. Yeah. We don't need to be a shopping mall on a Sunday. We should be at home having the roast.
People have only got so much to spend in a week, haven't they?
Absolutely.
Spend 5.5 or they spend it in 7.
Yeah.
And the consumerism is what creates the financial stress to begin with, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's the big circle.
Yeah, perhaps the virus was just there to tell us to slow down.
Yeah.
Beautiful note to finish on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Thank
Slow
you,
down, but
everyone.
I don't need my husband home every day wanting lunch. I've told him we've returned into a retirement village. If you're wanting lunch at 11:30, I'm not having dinner on the table at 4:30. No, he's very good. I just joke with him. He cooks his own, but yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good though. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. There's been lots of triggers, haven't there?
Mm. Yeah.
Just managing that can be a whole job in itself, I think.
Yeah.
Managing our own self-care through this.
Standing next to people in a shopping line, that's going to be hard. Close.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that whatever is happening, there is something positive, and I do believe like now there are some positives, some really big positives that are going to come out of this.
There are, definitely.
Well, we're very resilient, aren't we? We're very flexible people.
Let's hope it goes back to a slower pace. People, you know, riding their bicycles to work with their family or something, you know. I don't know. It's just something has to change for the positive.
I think close the shops, like Ian said, on a Sunday. It'd be nice.
Yes.
5 seconds to go. Thanks, everyone. It's been beautiful sharing with you and hearing from everyone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Are we all here? Do we have Kevin? Oh, we have Kevin, which means we have his team. Do we have Lise? Can't see Lise. Is she on the other page? There she is.
I'm here.
Awesome. All right, guys. So we're just going to do a super quick whip around, or maybe I'll just ask because we've only got 8 minutes until the end of the session. So out of the 4 groups, were there any key points that that you guys would like to share? We certainly have one cool one in our group, but was there, might open to the broader group, is there any key areas that you thought from a societal or a community perspective that we can be doing, need to be considering?
Can I just speak on behalf of our group really quickly? I mean, there was lots that came out, but I think the overall consensus is that out of COVID, this has been a very positive thing, and it's inviting people that, you know, may have had some contact with meditation even many years ago, now in a state of crisis, to actually welcome it into their lives. I think some other really good things that we talked about was also integrating it into schools, you know, potentially encouraging the young ones, because out of that, you know, the parents see the benefit of that also. So I think there were some really lovely discussions about that, but also age is not a barrier, and a couple of the women spoke about older people coming into this realm as well, you know, for the first time, people in their 80s and in their 90s, but perhaps introducing it not as meditation. I love the word culminate sessions, culminate, I think that was gorgeous. So I think that invites us to be flexible a little bit in our terminology, and probably most of us are, so that we're being open to different ways of communicating with different groups. But I think overall there's still a lot of positiveness in this, and definitely meditation is an incredible resource for a lot of people now.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Fiona. That ties in very nicely to the key themes we talked about in our group, which was really around how can we reframe meditation as not just something that people need to do if they're overly stressed or sick or have a chronic illness, and that it actually becomes a basic human skill that that, you know, a professional skill, if you like, that can be taught you know, to everybody, as you said, all of those populations. And Bronwyn in our group brought up the great point. It's really it comes down to us and the way we market it. So, you know, I know over the years on my flyers I've put, are you scared? Not scared. Are you stressed? Are you having trouble sleeping? You know, but maybe we should just be putting on our flyers, are you human? Yes, well, learn to meditate. So, you know, can we reframe that and really start to normalize it and take it out of that clinical space? So that was a big theme that came up for us.
It's Leanne again from Kevin's group.
Leanne, we love you for being such a committed spokesperson. For an introvert, you're doing really well, sister.
I did say over the last 18 months I have stepped out of my comfort zone, and this is halfway through. We again, the themes that you've just both spoken about was very much in our group as well, that the looking at the language and the reframing of meditation, bringing it out to the broader community, and some of the words that we would use that we're comfortable with may not be, maybe perceived differently. So just looking at the language, changing the language, and just having a look at some of my notes, because we know what meditation will bring, and that vulnerability that we spoke about, where people may have the expectation, oh, you're a meditation teacher, you should have it together. Well, yeah, we don't have it together, but we all have our human moments, but meditation is what has been the stability, that foundation for us. So, and again, having that meditation is just not for when you're in the moment of crisis, but it's like all good health practices.
Yeah, beautiful.
Same themes.
Thanks, Leanne. Awesome. We're all on the same track. All right, I'm going to wrap up the small groups now and hand over to the gorgeous Lisa for a final summary. And
Liv, if there's 2 minutes, I might just let Miranda just quickly wrap up ours, if that's all right. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I like an opportunity to get out of my comfort zone as well. So yeah, look, we had a very similar conversation, as very similar points coming up. Really, the main one I think that we held was, you know, we have such a opportunity to hold a conversation around mental health in general as meditation teachers, and, you know, opening up the opportunity for people to speak about, you know, where they're at with their mental health, and, you know, yeah, making it real. We're all in such a real place at the moment, and just, you know, bringing who we are into what we do. I think there's going to be a much bigger, you know, people are just going to warm to meditation more if we can just be less fluff, more real. And one of the questions was, what are the figures of people accessing meditation apps? Like, is there any concrete data on that? That was a question that we were going to put to Meditation Australia to investigate.
I'll put it on my list.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I'm sure we can find that data. Thanks, Miranda. All right. I'm going to hand over to Lise now just to do the final summary and wrap up. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Liv. Thank you. And thanks, everyone. It's been an absolutely wonderful time together. So much rich conversation and so many wonderful ideas and such diverse thinking that all really comes together beautifully. So thank you. I had something I just wanted to share as a closing to this session, and it might take us a few minutes over 5. So if anyone needs to go, that's absolutely fine. What I was going to share was just a quick list of ideas for running things online, and just some hints, both of a technical nature and of a teaching nature, that, you know, you may already be aware of, but that may be useful. So what I have here is that just being aware of security on Zoom, you know, enabling the waiting room, using the waiting room, and disabling screen sharing so that other people can't come in and sabotage your sessions. Maybe even, you know, in the beginning, or if you're running a longer session on Zoom, having someone else available to do the techie stuff, you know, to do the breakout rooms, to organise admitting people into the room at the beginning of the session so that you can focus on your facilitation rather than having to focus on the technical side. They could even handle the recordings, all of that sort of thing. Please get into the room 10 to 15 minutes early so that you have plenty of time to settle yourself, make sure that it's all looking good and you've got your notes prepared and ready to go. Always keep your laptop plugged in. Make sure that you've got a quiet environment. Try not to shuffle too much because it's all heard very loudly on Zoom when you're when you've got things on, you know, when you're typing or doing anything like that. I like to always, at the beginning of most groups, have some guidelines or group agreements around how things are going to be conducted. So whether it's a technical checklist or whether it's just a code of conduct or, you know, something very informal. You could even get people to contribute to create it. But it's just a nice way of everyone knowing, you know, how things are going to work. Be aware of if you're using background music, the copyright issues if you're recording. So there's plenty of music out there that's royalty free that you can use instead if you're going to use music. Do all your prep so you feel absolutely relaxed. You do some practice sessions on Zoom so that you've got, you know, you're technically a bit more comfortable with things. And that way you can just relax and enjoy the session, which is what we all want to do. Just a warning about using sound bowls on Zoom. From what I understand and from a few practice sessions I've done, I don't know if anyone else has had a different experience, but they don't actually work all that well because of the way Zoom's mic is set up. So there's other ways you can do it, but you might just have to investigate that. Or I know that Facebook Live works a little better with that. Keep your sessions, if you're doing a longer workshop or a retreat, make sure that you have frequent breaks and not too much of one person talking because that can be a bit draining. And periods of movement for longer sessions, always. And just the last thing was being aware of checking in with people. So when you've got a large group of people on Zoom or on Facebook Live, it can be a bit more difficult than when you're in a group to be able to see if someone's struggling or if someone's been really triggered or needs assistance. So setting up ways and means that you can check in on people, whether it's using breakout groups or whether it's individually checking in or just being a bit more aware of it than perhaps you would be in a face-to-face group so that you're allowing space and time to just check in on people. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. And I'd like to thank our facilitators today, Asha Packman, Liv Downing and Kevin Janks. Thank you so much for your time today and for conducting this great session. Soon Meditation Australia will be offering a marketing masterclass for meditation teachers. It's a video that will be able to be purchased at quite a nominal cost, and so we'll be sending information out about that to you. Please make sure that you're on our mailing list by liking or so that you've liked our Facebook page and check in on our Facebook page on Meditation Australia to make sure that you find out about it. And so for now, I'd just like to say thank you so much everyone for your wonderful input and energy, and have a wonderful rest of your time at home. Namaste everyone.
Thank you.